Hello there, and welcome to another Starfield ship review video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Atlas. In my case, it's the Trader Atlas. So there's a couple of versions of this ship, but they're all the same. They're just reskins. So this ship, sadly, you can't purchase it, and getting it's kind of difficult. So there's a couple of paths to get it, which I'll explain briefly. So one of the methods, the method I have here, is you can come across a trader faction, much like you come across the trader Railstar or the trader Wagon Train. You come across them basically, and you have to steal it through piracy, which some people may not like. Now you can also come across an abandoned version of this, where it's just derelict, and you go and board it, and something happened to the crew, and I believe you can take it from that if you find it. Now, I found it, but it was a long time ago, and I spent like 2 hours trying to backtrack, be like, where was it, but I couldn't find it. Now, thankfully, I found this version. And then obviously you can, like it, most of the ships in the game, you can find it landed on planets, which, again, you may have to steal it. Sometimes you don't. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but sometimes, like, ships just land with no crew, and you can just take it. But anyway, yeah, that's the methods of how you acquire it. So if looking at it, it was a Deimos vessel. It's quite similar in its style a bit to the Dagger, except instead of using Deimos landing gear, it uses Nova Galactic and Taio landing gear, which is kind of interesting. So if we take a look at the stats, we have a fuel of 150, which is kind of bad. Not going to lie to you. As I said in a lot of these other reviews, generally you want about 200 fuel minimum, just so that way you can make jumps to different locations. Because if you have too low of fuel, you basically have to hop. So instead of going from A straight to, say, D, you have to go A to B to C, then D. Which, yeah, some people might like that. Early game, I wouldn't mind it because you're exploring along the way. But if you're late game, you kind of want to have over 200 fuel minimum. Hull is 467, which is extremely low, but then again, this isn't really meant to be a combat vessel. Obviously, you can make it into a combat vessel, but yeah, it's meant to be more like a kind of a hauler vessel, a kind of a light hauler. It's got a cargo capacity of 990, which for a light hauler is quite good. We could increase that a little bit when we do the teardown, probably pump it up a little bit, but still, that's quite respectable. There's some C-class kind of all-arounders that don't even hit that. As for the modules on the ship, we've got an A-class reactor with 18 power, which is not the best. I believe that's it there at the back. It's the Takamax reactor. I like that reactor because it's one of the few reactors that looks like just a normal module. Kind of looks, yeah, it looks a bit like a Hopetech module, but sadly, they don't really go up much in power. They're kind of like on the lower end of the A-class. It's only got a crew of 2, which again is it's low by my standards, but that's just because I like having a lot of crew with me. You could probably upgrade it to 4 if you swap out the habitat for something else, but you don't need to. You can kind of run whatever you want. It's got a very low jump range of 17 light years. There's the grav drive at the back. I would assume it's probably running a Nova Galactic grav drive. A lot of them tend to be lower. We definitely want to upgrade that. That'd probably be one of the first upgrades to make after the engines, in my opinion. Shields, again, quite low. A-class shields tend to max out at around 8 to 900. So, like, halfway there, it's just not really good. Now, obviously, if you're mainly using this as a trading vessel, those shields should be more than adequate to kind of deter enemies while you're charging your grav drive. Weapon-wise, it has a single laser weapon and a single ballistic weapon. The ballistic weapon is mounted on the chin of the cockpit, and the laser weapon is mounted above the cockpit. So yeah, let's go check it out, shall we? So as always, I'm only purchasing this vessel because I always sell my vessels beforehand. You cannot actually buy this ship. You have to find it, like I was saying. So a very quick look of it from the outside. It's got that very very kind of noticeable Deimos look to it with the wings and the very long kind of like neck cockpit. It's got a very long neck on it. It's got some Taio pieces, though, and some Nova Galactic that kind of break it up. It's also got a very unique color scheme. This is the trader color scheme. All the trader ships tend to be kind of two-tone, usually like a yellow and or like a kind of a greeny yellow, and then a kind of a darkish blue. But if we enter through the back, it's got a Deimos entryway. It's not a lot to the ship. But still, it's an interesting looking ship. So in we go to this Deimos cargo bay. Don't forget to always loot your... Oh, there's nothing here, damn it. Alright, up we go. Now we shouldn't have any bodies to walk over because I removed them, thanks to the little technique. Alright, so immediately we have the... We have a... This is an... I believe it's an all-in-one berth, potentially. I think it's an all-in-one berth. We got toilet, we got some beds here. Not actually too bad for Deimos beds. It just seems... It's funny having, like, bunk beds in space with, like, ladders. Because, like, technically you wouldn't need ladders, you just turn off the gravity, but that might be a bit annoying. Got a galley here that functions, although as you can see, this is the reason I missed the galleys in, like, my other, like, 100 or so ship reviews. Apparently, to activate it, you have to look down and click on a cloth, which is interesting. And then if we head through this way, we have a 1x1 storage room. Again, this is Deimos. And then we have a docking port above, which is nice to see. And then finally, we have the cockpit, which is the standard Deimos cockpit. Kind of one of the big letdowns with the Deimos cockpits is they're all the same. There's only 2 variants. And I know like a lot of ships, or a lot of the ship manufacturers don't have very many variants, but most of them have at least 3. I'd kind of like to see a little bit of a mix-up on this, because obviously Deimos make combat vessels, but it'd be nice to see them do a take on a non-combat vessel. So we got the pilot seat there, and then we've got loaded jump seats here for your crew, but no like control areas for them. So it's basically like a one-man ship. So in we get, I am at Porima, as opposed to my usual spot, because if I go there, they're going to shoot me, and that's not very nice. I have a little bit of a bounty. So, it's an interesting profile, as I was saying, so we're going to take off and see how it works. Now, I'm assuming power is going to be a bit hit and miss. Just because... It's interesting that they went with the 2 separate landing gear. Like, I quite like the Taio landing gear because it's quite streamlined, and it looks really nice, but I don't know why they didn't go with it. Anyway, as always with these reviews, I have a perk that increases my power by 5. It's called Anatronic Fusion. So for the sake of this review, I'm not going to be using 5 power. Weapon-wise, we've got that single laser weapon mounted above, and the single ballistic mounted below. Do a quick speed test. It has a base speed of, I'm assuming it's going to be 150. Yeah, it's 150. Pretty respectable for an A-class. And then... boost speed is okay. This is very slow. 3 like 60. That's extremely slow. I want to do that one more time just in case. We've got max pips to engines. You know, we should. Never really seen a ship that low, and I've like seen some slow ships. I'm gonna try one more. Oh, I did that prematurely. I apologize. Yeah, no, it looks like we're getting about 350 on a good day, which is... I mean, it's a trading vessel, you know, you're not supposed to really be outrunning much unless you get shot at. We do a quick pitch test. Ooh. It's kind of average. It's just a straight 5. We'll do a roll. Again, that's like a 5. Or a pitch, or a yaw, sorry, and then the roll. Roll's quite responsive. Alright, so we're going to head back down to the planet now and do a teardown. Alright, so we've got it split into 3 sections. So at the top here, we have the Deimos 110 DP Docker. And then we have just a Deimos Hull A here. And then we have this Bastille S81 shield generator from Nautilus. This is A-class, 4 power, and gives 390 shield health. We're just going to see real quick if we can increase those shields a little bit. So if we go the the shields that's already on it, the Bastille ones, we can, at the best here, so this is the 81, if we go up to the 84, It uses 3 extra power, and it gives us 730 as opposed to 390, so almost double shields. Now this will cost you 14,000 as opposed to 4, so an extra 10k, and it also requires Starship Design 4. Now if you want the best A-class shield generator in the game, is it this one here? Let me check. That's 860. No, I think this one's better. Okay, yeah, so the best in the game is this one here. It's 860, but it's awkward to mount, so I would recommend this one. You're losing a little bit, you're losing 50, but this one is a lot better. And then it's A-class, it requires 8 power, 16k, almost 17k, and it requires Starship Design 4, which is a bit of a long stretch down there, but you know, that's the thing with the upgrades. Now, yeah, we have this is the Tokamak X100 reactor from Xi'an. It's A-class, 18 power. I'm going to check if there is one of those reactors here, because I managed to get to where I needed to go. Okay, cool. Nice, okay. So we can go up to the max one, which is the Tokamak X300 reactor from Xi'an. It's A-class again. It gives 29 power, so an extra 11 power. Now, this requires Starship Design 4, and it costs 30... It's going to cost probably 40,000 for you, depending on perks. So if you wanted to go with this one, this is a good option. Now, obviously, I always recommend it. Is it here? It's not here, damn it. There's a reactor that you can get. It's basically, it gives you like 33 power. So if you want to stick with the style of this reactor, obviously you have the option. But if you want that extra 4 power, you're going to have to swap it out for the other one. Let me just figure out the name of it was very quickly. Just because it's kind of my go-to reactor for like A-class ships. It is called A-class reactors. I have like a little list. So yeah, it's called the... No? All reactors? Why is it only showing me... Ah, okay, there we go, perfect. So it's called the Spheromac DC-202 reactor, and it gives 33 power. It's commonly found on New Atlantis. And then for the engines, we have these White Dwarf 1000 engines from Relodyne, A-class, 3 power each, 4650 engine thrust, and 2445 maneuvering thrust. Now, I know for a fact we can get better versions of those engines. So if we go all the way down... Yeah, we can go all the way up to 1020, which increases... It almost doubles your engine thrust. And it only increases your maneuvering thrust by, like, 200, sorry. It's a little bit more expensive, and it doesn't seem to require any perks, which is quite nice. And then for fuel, we've got 2 of these tiny Titan 350 helium-3 tanks from Nautilus. They give 75 fuel each. We're going to have to swap them out. We'll do it when we get to the end of the teardown. We'll swap them for something better. Yeah. And then we've got 2 of these Caravel V103 cargo holds from Protectorate Systems, 395 each. And then we have this Deimos Hull A aesthetic piece. And then in the middle of the vessel, we have the Deimos DS 10.1 Phobos cockpit, 200 cargo, 2 crew stations. It's got a Dragon 221 megawatt laser from Horizon Defense, A-class, 1200 range, 3.49 fire rate, and it does 12.59 damage to shields and requires 3 power. And then on the bottom side here, let me just go down a little bit. We have, come on now, let me look at it. There we go, perfect. We have the Mauler 104L auto cannon, not autocannon, sorry, from Horizon Defense. It's an A-class, 960 range, fire rate of 3.49, hull damage of 13.64, and it requires 4 power. So these weapons, I wouldn't be gone on them from a gameplay point of view, just because, well, the thing is, if you want to go for a kind of a realistic loadout and you don't want to just rock one set of weapons, they're perfectly fine. But I usually just rock one set of weapons just to kill stuff quickly. Then we've got the Shroud 1x1 storeroom, and then the Shroud all-in-one berth. Okay, that was Shroud, okay. Because I was thinking Deimos's beds are not comfortable. And then behind that we have the Helios 100 grav drive from Deep Core A-class, 9 max power and gives 16 jump thrust, which the current configuration gives us 17. So we can obviously improve that pretty easily. So if we go for this bad boy here, one will gives us 29 light years. We want to see if we can go a little better. Yes, it seems like we're kind of stuck at 29 light years in the current configuration with a couple of them. This is Helios 400 grav drive from Deep Core. It's like an upgrade of the other one. A class, 9 power as well. It gives 27 grav jump thrust, which gives us 29 range. And it costs 10,080, and it requires starter design 1, which is not too bad. Let me put back the original. No, not that one. There you go, perfect. And then for the aesthetic piece, oh no, we've got landing gear, sorry. So we've got these NG-15 landing gear, port and starboard from Nova Galactic. They both give 2 landing thrust. And then for the aesthetic pieces, we prepare these Deimos wings, port and starboard. And then on the bottom, we have the 120 LD landing bay from Deimos. We have a Deimos hull A, and then 2 of these pinpoint 3G landing gear, point 4 and starboard 4 from Tayo. They give 1 thrust each. So now we're going to put the vessel back together, and we're going to do some modifications. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the grav drive and put on a better one, not that one. We're going to stick with the same kind of styling. We're going to try and keep it as similar as possible. And with the reactor, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to use the Tokamak 300. Now for the shield, we're going to go for a better shield. We're going to go for this one up here. Again, some of these may be out of your reach. If you're watching this and you're a lower level, this is just a guide, obviously. What I would recommend doing is attaching the highest tier gear you can get currently. So for instance, in your playthrough, if you've only access to the 30S, slap it on. If it's better than the current one, obviously just slap it on. Now we're going to remove the fuel and the weapons here, and then we'll come back to the weapons. But don't like how little fuel we have, so what we're going to do is we're going to get some better fuel. Now this is going to get a little bit heavier, but all the same, it gets the job done. So we're going to go with this 500T tank, and we're going to replace this Deimos hull here, and we're going to put this in its place. Now we're not gaining... What's the error? Ah, I see. Interesting. Okay, that shield is... We have to mount that shield. Oh, that's why you were using a smaller shield. Interesting. We'll mount this here then for now. So this gives us like a little bit more fuel. We go up to 210, which is kind of the bare minimum I would recommend. Now, as for the weaponry, we're going to put them on first. I feel like because this is a combat vessel, we don't need to worry too much about weaponry, but we'll have some just for defenses. So we're going to get some of these PB-30 electron beams. They're quite good. They're 3 power, A class, 3600 range, 3.49 fire rate, and they do 13.64 damage. I apologize if my stats are off for some reason. I don't know why it's giving me the point. Because normally it's giving me solid. Now, I don't have any perks on. Pretty interesting. It might be because of where I am. So the stats will be slightly different, but these are they're pretty good weapons. Now, usually I'd mount like at least 3 of these, but you can obviously put 4. I mean, 2 is perfectly fine. It depends on if you want more cargo, because we're going to look into getting a little bit more cargo. For the time being, we'll just use 2 of these. One mounted forward, one mounted aft. Now, this is where... Oh, we need better engines. Actually, we'll deal with the engines in a minute. We're going to get some extra cargo on this bad boy. So, what we're going to try and do is we're going to go in the cargo, because this is a cargo hauler. We're going to try and pump it out a little bit. Need to go to cargo. Are you really not going to... Do I not have any... Interesting. Okay, so as we see, if we look under here, we have this Deimos hull here. We're going to remove that Deimos hull. Apologies for the camera, it's a bit finicky. And are we going to be able to place this here? Probably not, it's too wide. Oh, apparently we can. Perfect. So putting this in increases our cargo to 1450, which is very nice. And then obviously we'll go a little bit more, because I feel like you want to get that this is a hauling vessel. Now we don't want to go too over the top. Put a little bit of cargo on these. Brings our cargo up to 1875, which is nice, very nice. And I feel like that's fair for cargo. Now for the engines, we're going to have to fiddle with the engines just a little bit. just because I feel like we'll try just upgrading to the better White Dwarf engines real quick, or the engines, and just see how they perform. Okay, they don't perform well at all. Okay. Our mobility is 35, which is not ideal. So what I'm going to do is, give me a moment, I'm going to see what sort of landing gear we have, because we can potentially swap the landing gear out a bit. Perfect, so we have some of these. Okay, see, ideally I'd like to snap this here to give us like a little bit more landing gear, but we'll see in a second. If I remove this... Oh, I don't want to snap to there, that would be problematic. It's just one of like the issues of, I kind of wish there was snap points to there, but sadly there's not. We'll keep it there for the moment. And we'll get back to it. We'll look at the engines first, see if we can improve. So what engines do we have? So with the A class, we've got some of these engines. Let me see, what are these looking like? Okay, so these are like these are a lot better. So obviously these require Starship Design 4, but they increase our they're only 2 power, and they increase our engine thrust almost by double. So we're gonna put some of these on just to see. No, not you. Like so. Now that brings our mobility to 59. Now, potentially, give me a moment. As they say in the business, let him cook. I don't know what business says that, but I know the kids these days do say it. That gives us a snap point on the bottom. Can we add these? You know, Bethesda, you're a fickle beast. Like, it has a snap point. Why do you not want to snap? That's slightly infuriating. Okay, so... See, the engine... I quite like those engines on it because it kind of gives it a bit more, like, oomph. But obviously, does it have problems with landing gear? Let me see if I... What's the error? Too heavy? Yeah. Wait, what's unattached? What? Oh, okay. I see why that was there. Okay. So we can put that cargo there. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, as I usually do, and I'm going to just fiddle with it to see how we can get it working, because it might take me a little bit. Alright, so we're back. So I'll just show you the modifications I made. So I had to put back the... So originally, like I said, there was I had a cargo area here, but I put back the Deimos hull, and these, like, basically this is the way it was. And what I did was I added another Deimos hull here, and I extended the back just a little bit, which allowed me to continue using these Taio landing gear. And then I basically replaced the Nova Galactic landing gear, and in their place I put 2 of these cargo hulls from Panoptes. And then I put the SA-4330 engines here, which give us 74 mobility, which is respectable. And then it gives us a speed of 150. Now I'm just going to really quickly make one last modification. Well, 1 or 2. Do we have any? Probably not. Is it going to... There's always like one of the problems with being at different places. I wanted to hide that. Will you flip back? No, of course you won't. Why would you flip back? Oh, yes. No. What? Okay, perfect. Right, so I want to like snap this here just to hide the shield generator. So we're gonna do the little technique. Now, obviously, you can be perfectly fine with putting that there. I would probably use the Deimos one just because it would kind of match the contour of the landing bay. But since I'm currently wanted in that area, we're going to use this as an alternative. But still works. So in order to duplicate, or in order to not duplicate to the merge, you just place it. You're going to flip it back, let it go, and Bob's your auntie. There you go. Now, there's not really much else we can kind of do here. We've got some extra slots here. We could add some, if you wanted more weapons, which you're more than welcome to, you know. What you could do is, because we have a couple of, like, spots for weapons, we could slap these bad boys here. Some Horizon weapon mounts. And then, that gives you 4 extra weapon slots. Like, let's say if you wanted to mount more of these, or if you just wanted to try, like, just a normal loadout, that would work too. Obviously, if you're not into that and you just want more cargo, we can do what I was doing originally where we go to the cargo. Now, adding more cargo is going to make this thing a little bit heavier. So what are we at currently? We're at 1410. Let's add a little bit more. Okay, that doesn't... Drops the mood down a little bit. Now, see, Okay, now I know this is probably something that a lot of you might not like to do. But if you want more mobility, you can merge. I'm going to do that briefly. So in order to do the merge, you have to change it to this. And then we flip it. So we'll see what this one looks like. This one here. Oh no, we need to, sorry. When you're doing this, you have to drop it first. So we could obviously do this one, which looks not too bad. We'll do that one there. Now, some of you guys may not like that. Myself, personally, I'm not a huge fan of it either, actually, now that I look at it. But this is just an option if you wanted to, like, pump your mobility to, like, max. Now, we're going to fiddle with it a little bit more, just because I would like to get this up. What's the error? Ship is unattached. Oh, because these are heavy. Okay, these are a bit... Okay. What's unattached? What am I missing? Oh, it's this thing? Okay. There we go, perfect. Now, like I said, so the mobility, like, it slacks a bit. Let's see if we can fit. If we could get, like, one more engine, we'd be, like, perfectly fine. Oh, wait a minute. I'm silly. I completely forgot. So we could do... Show you real quick. Is it that one? No. Ooh, maybe, actually. That wouldn't look too bad. Maybe. I'm gonna flip this. No. This. Oh, it's gonna be too heavy for it, isn't it? Yeah, that looks a bit funky. I mean, it's perfectly fine as is, you know, like you're losing mobility. But if you want to pump your mobility back up, you could just get rid of these two, like so, and then you've got 73 mobility, which is more than acceptable mobility. And then, yeah, I really wish you could snap to this, because then you could just keep extending these, but sadly you cannot. But yeah, that's just some ideas on that. They're not supposed to look that way. They're supposed to be... Actually, how do these look? Let me see. They actually don't look too bad in that configuration. It kind of gives it like a proper... kind of like a hauler vibe. Like some big engines. Anyway, there's just some ideas on how you can upgrade it. You don't have to follow this. This is just like a, you know, just showing you some things. And obviously, with the merge methods, again, you don't have to do it. Don't worry too much if you do it. There's no, like, risk of it. The only thing is, I would be careful when merging. I wouldn't merge objects into, like, habitats. It's like if, for instance, this, like, if you can walk around it, don't merge into it. But yeah, that's the Atlas review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys flown it or came across it. It seems like a quite rare ship. The fact that, like, you have to hunt for it. It's not just something you can buy. Yeah, so if you have flown it, let me know what you think of it. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content. And also check out my other reviews. Bye-bye.